Welcome to the Spiritual Beings Virtual Summit, and this is session 3, which is our introduction to Web3. And who better for us to join us today to talk about all things Web3 and to help with that education piece and really get a very good, solid understanding of this space and all the features of this space than Dr. Hans. Dr. Hans is the founder of The Royals NFT collection, which I am a very proud holder and love. He's also the founder of the Investing Tutor and has a heart, honestly, bigger than the space itself. Dr. Hans is one of the very first people I met in Web3. And just even on the very first Twitter space that I was on, Dr. Hans was on. And the moment he started speaking, I was just like, oh, wow, this man's amazing. And just learned, I was brand new in the space. I just learned so much through just his calm, considered, educated posture that would always bring something of value, no matter what space he's in, who he's speaking with. Just incredible. And really, his actions speak even louder than his words. I know that he made a huge effort at an event that I was at to come and actually meet us in person, and just those kind of sacrifices constantly, just to really just show what it is that he's really speaking of. And it's the first investment tutoring system in the US that Dr. Hans has created, and the first luxury travel NFT collection to really showcase African culture as well. So Dr. Hans, welcome to
Oh,
our summit. We are
good.
so honored that you would join us today.
Yeah.
And
What an introduction. Thank you so much. It's the honor is also mine. And I share similar feelings with regards to you. You always have been warm and kind. And the fact that you're working on this projects, right? Spiritual beings to bring spirituality, at least that's the way I feel. Like, there's a missing piece in this Web3 ecosystem that is often not discussed, which is spirituality. And to see that you all are working on an incredible project to bring that to their space. I just wanted to give you and your team, like, kudos for doing something which is not necessarily easy, right? Similar to the Royals, we went out there, we saw that there was something missing in the space, which was the lack of diversity, the ability for individuals to feel a part of, included in the Web3 space. So we set out to create something unique, something that could celebrate African culture, but also different cultures with future NFT collections. And the journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. So I'm so happy to see you embark on an incredible journey to help bring spirituality to Web3, and that's my definition of it. Yeah.
amazing. Well, thank you so much. And honestly, your support and encouragement does mean the world to us. So I would love to start. Maybe I've given a very brief introduction to you, but I would love you to introduce yourself to everyone and just share some of your story and how you've ended up in the place that you're in at this time.
Yeah. So grew up in Ghana, West Africa. I like to start there and to put it in context that, we were an upper middle class family in Ghana, West Africa. When we immigrated to the United States, we went from upper middle class to bottom 20%. Now, I'll tie in later in the story why I emphasize this. So, upper middle class family in Ghana, West Africa, we moved to the US, bottom 20%, and life started in Bronx, New York. Very, very humble beginnings. We shared an apartment complex with, not complex, but an apartment room or building with another family. So it was a 2-bedroom apartment. Me and my parents and siblings in one room, and the other family shared the other. And at that time, I also like to state that the only asset that I owned was a Metro card, which held, the money that I'd use for transportation. Um, Along that, and oh yeah, this is also an important part of the story. As an immigrant, your parents would tell you the way that you make it in America, or the way that you become successful, is you need to study hard, you need to, go to school, and you need to get a very good job. If you do those three things, you'll be incredibly successful, you'll be wealthy. That is the mindset. So, I did that. I decided to pursue pharmacy because my mom wanted me to be a doctor. So I went that route. Along that journey, I met this gentleman who introduced me to this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book changed my life. The subtitle of the book is What the Rich and Wealthy Teach Their Kids About Money That the Poor and the Middle Class Don't. For the first time, Jody, I got to understand how money works and how wealth is built. And in that moment that I got to understand it, I was like, wow, how come they never shared any of this information with me? And when I say they, I'm, referring to my parents or other older relatives, right? Because the only thing they told me was go to school, get a good job, and you'd become successful. So fast forward, I stumbling on that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, inspired me to begin reading so much more on the topic of money, wealth building, personal finance, entrepreneurship. So let's say over the course of, let's say, about 7 years, I went on to read well over 400 books on the topic and over 40,000 journals, blogs, you name it. On a day-to-day basis, I spend, give and take, anywhere between 3 to 5 hours studying this topic, macroeconomics, everything that I can get my hands on. So around 2017 was when I stumbled upon Bitcoin. Initially, I said it was a scam, so I ignored it. 6 months later, I stumbled on a news article that stated that Peter Thiel and a couple of his billionaire buddies, they had put money together, created $1 billion fund or so, and they were buying into Bitcoin and crypto. And in that moment, I said, whoa, these were the individuals that invested in, Facebook, PayPal, Google. I was like, if they are putting this amount of money into this new technology, who am I? Right? I'm not worth $1 billion. Who am I to say that crypto is a scam? So in that moment, the fact that actual practitioners, let's call them tech practitioners, were investing money, and it's not like a few dollars, billions of dollars into this technology, it made me pause for a moment. And instead of saying that this technology is a scam, I went to do my research and due diligence. I went to go and study the technology. And I was blown away by what I saw. And I know we'll expand on all of that, during this our talk today. But then that introduction to crypto led me to NFTs in 2021. And once again, I saw that there was a void in the space. So then I wanted to create something that brings people of different cultures, ethnicities together so that we can celebrate those different cultures, right? So the Royals NFT is focused on showcasing different culture through art, but the NFT also serves as an invitation for the holders to actually visit the country and experience the culture that we showcase. So yeah, we'll be going to Ghana this December to celebrate, with our Royals.
Just amazing, absolutely fantastic, and what an incredible story, and just a testament to your heart and character to to have that inspiration and really be able to take that to the place that you're at now, and just opening up so much for so many others as well. And so I guess there's people who'll be watching this either live or replay, who really are very brand new to this whole space. And they may have heard their family or friends talking about Web3, but really don't have much of an idea. I've heard bits and pieces, I guess. So I'd love you to start right at the beginning and explain what exactly is Web3 and how is it different from the Web2 version that we all know.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was talking about, these tech practitioners or the individuals who are now tech billionaires, right? Back in the late 90s, many of these people, yeah, they had money, but it's not the billions of dollars that we see now, right? They were able to invest in and have ownership stake in these different tech companies and ended up growing their wealth over time, right? So back then, when they were building the web, or if we can call, Web 1, the concept of Web 1 was read and write, right? So mainly you can have a website, you can read the information on the website, right? You can go to, I remember back in the day, you can go to like a, AOL chat, right? And you can, write back and forth. So the concept is you can read, which is you can get information, and then you can also write, right? Interact. You can write. So read and write, that's Web 1 as we know it, websites. Okay, so when you think of Web 1, think websites. Web 2, we still have the read and write, but there was a layer that was added on. I like to call it interact, right? So this is where, social media, video, apps like Uber and things of that nature. So all of a sudden we could interact. You could create, you can do more than reading and writing on the web, right? So Web 1, read and write. Web 2, read, write, interact, create, right? Your imagination is the limit, if you will. Web 3, so we have read, write, interact. The term that I'm tempted to say is tokenize, but tokenize, many people might hear that and not understand. So instead of saying tokenize, let me replace the word tokenize with ownership, right? Why? What does this mean? And I'm thinking about this from the standpoint of someone who's hearing this for the first time. Tokenize, ownership. What does it mean? So let me connect the dots. When I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the core thing that I took away from that book was individuals who acquire and build wealth, they focus on owning or they focus on acquiring assets. Assets are things that hold value over time. Maybe they increase in value or they distribute some kind of income. Assets make you money. Okay. Well, the world that we live in, the typical assets that we are familiar with, stocks, homes, real estate, land, physical paintings, right? Well, what about this idea of assets in the digital space? We've leveraged this internet. It's created trillion-dollar companies, but for some reason, we've never been able to put value or create assets out of digital things, the things on the internet. So you know how Web 2 is interact or create. Well, what if you create something on the internet? The question I have for you is that thing that you've created, that asset of yours, whether it's a video, whether it's something you've imagined, how do you benefit from it? Most of the individuals listening to this, when you create something in Web 2, you don't own it. If you're posting on Instagram, Instagram owns it. They are able to monetize off of it. YouTube owns it, right? We don't own anything. What this concept of Web3 allows us to do is using a token, we can know who owns that asset and be able to benefit from that. So in a tokenized world or in a world where we're able to assign ownership to digital items. It could be music, it could be videos, it could be games, it could be things that you even use in the games that you play. Let's say there was a video game and you were able to imagine some kind of new tool that you can use in the game. And all of a sudden you can create that and you own the tool. And let's say other players want to have that tool to use in the game. And what if they could purchase it digitally from you? All of a sudden you've created an asset on the internet. This is so exciting because, and this is, I'm leaning a bit into the spiritual side. When we look at what God has for us, it is a life of health. It's a life of abundance so that we can be a blessing to others, right? But to be a blessing, you need to own assets, right? You cannot give what you don't have, right? When we look at the world as it is, there are many countries that don't have any wealth. And it could be that, there could be multiple reasons. But in a digital world where everyone has access to the internet, it levels that playing field. All of a sudden, we can have digital assets being created. I like to give this example. A little boy or a little girl in Ghana or India or anywhere could create something. It could be an artwork and be able to sell it. Prior to this Web3, where we can know they own the artwork and sell it to someone, and we can see that the ownership is transferred. Prior to this Web3, that little boy or little girl is limited to a market where they stay in their geographic area. But all of a sudden now, that little boy or girl can create something that someone in America can buy. And they are not buying it with a local currency based on that little boy or girl's view of what that painting is worth, which maybe they can minimize the pricing because they are not exposed to, more money. But all of a sudden, the world can bid, right? The world can come in and bid for that. So all of a sudden, it becomes a technology that can be life-changing. So Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. So Web 3 mainly is tokenized, which is ownership.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. I think that, such a great way to be able to articulate that and to see that progression through of how we are in this space now. So I guess the next part of that is, I get another word I'm sure lots of people hear and don't fully understand who are new into Web3 is, what is an NFT? And how does that fit into Web3 is the way that you've explained it?
Yes. So the word tokenize, right? Token. NFT stands for non-fungible token. The word fungible means interchangeable, right? Something which is the same. $1 is the same as another dollar. It's worth the same as a dollar, right? It's fungible, interchangeable. Non-fungible means it is not interchangeable, right? Very basic. What does not interchangeable mean? $1 and $20. One is a dollar, one is $20. It's not the same. You cannot give someone $1 and say, give me 20 and we're even. No, right? Different colors. A red jacket and a blue jacket is non-fungible. It's not interchangeable. It's a different color, right? So non-fungible means unique, one of a kind, right? Okay. So non-fungible token. So it's a unique token. So the question that I would want the listeners or the audience, the viewers to wonder is, why would I want a unique token? Well, how can we identify assets as one of a kind, right? So that little boy or girl who draws a painting, if we tokenize it, how can we know that artwork belongs to that boy or girl if we don't have a unique token to identify it? We wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So each token has to be unique. And if you're wondering, how can you have a unique token? It's no different from having a credit card or a debit card. So like a Visa credit or debit, or a Visa MasterCard. Each card has a unique serial number. So I want you to imagine that each token has a unique serial number assigned to it. So the little girl creates a digital painting and then she assigns a token to it. And if you are wondering, how do you assign a token to it? Don't worry, it's super simple. You can use so many different platforms like OpenSea and so many others, right? So as I'm saying, the little girl assigns a token to it. Please know it's just not anything technical that you have to do. It's as simple as uploading your image onto a marketplace. And all of a sudden, you're able to tokenize the image. So the little girl creates a painting. She tokenizes it by assigning a token. And each token, non-fungible, has a unique ID or a number.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, we know that this painting was created by this individual. If someone else comes in to purchase that painting, right, the token is transferred from the creator or the owner to the next owner. So we're able to follow and track who now owns that asset
Yeah.
or that painting, right? So taking a step back, non-fungible token is a unique token. And you understand why it's unique. It has a unique serial number, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So NFT technology, the way I like to think about it is a technology for verifying ownership, right? It
Yeah.
allows us to be able to know who owns something. In the physical world that we're used to, when we buy something, we typically have documentation to prove that we are the owners of it. If you buy a car, right, there's proof that you bought it. If you go to the store and you buy a product from the store, they give you a receipt. You need the receipt to be able to return the item. The receipt is the non-fungible token, if you will, right? Because the receipt is going to show the timestamp of you buying this item. It has a unique number. They can search that number and see, oh yeah, you did buy this thing from the store. So yeah, you can return it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the
Mm-hmm.
same way, what is happening with NFTs, which many people don't understand, they think an NFT is art. No, an NFT is a token. The name of it
Yeah.
itself tells us it's a token, right? So it's just a token, it's a unique token, but it's a technology that is allowing us to be able to track transactions. It's allowing us to be able to verify even the movement of an asset of an asset, because the token is backing an asset from one person to another, so that we don't have to use papers to track
Mm-hmm.
items that we purchase. We can use a token, which ties into why Web3 is tokenized, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely. And so I guess we have like Web3 as a whole, and then NFTs that are within that.
Yes.
And then you alluded to it before, but then there's the whole idea of cryptocurrency. So
Mm.
can you explain how that then fits into Web3 and NFTs and the whole
Yeah.
system?
Yes. So the internet is a powerful platform or technology, if you will, right? It allows us to do so much, create, read and write, all of these things. The number one thing that the internet lacks is a way for us to transact
Mm.
on the internet, right? When the internet was built, it didn't have a payment layer on there. So what happened is, as humans, we want to design ways for us to be able to bring value to this internet. So encryption was created, and then once encryption was kind of permitted and allowed, it went through Congress and everything was like, okay, sure. In the beginning, they were like, no, we cannot use encryption because criminals will be doing really bad things and we won't be able to track, what's going on. But without encryption, you cannot even process payments on the internet. So once encryption went through, now you can have bank accounts and all of these things. So in the beginning, many regulators are fearful of something that brings innovation. And the reason I'm tying it in is because of the current environment with the fear around kind of crypto. But many individuals don't have the foresight to see what's ahead, right? So encryption is put into law, and then it ushers in payment platforms or payment features. So Visa, MasterCard, banks. What we did in that moment was we're bringing a payment layer from the physical world and connecting it to the digital world. It is not native to the digital world. That payment layer is not already on the internet. We have to bring it from the physical world, and we have to keep track of it in the physical world. It is the most ineffective way to process payment transactions using the internet. But we've done a phenomenal job at doing it, right? And the phenomenal job we've done is we've given certain companies even more power over our data and information and all of these things. What crypto has done, and I'll explain what the term cryptocurrency means. What crypto has done is it's allowed for the creation of a payment system or payment network or payment rail on the internet. It is native to the internet. We're not bringing anything from the physical world. It is literally on the internet, right? So the term cryptocurrency, well, the first term crypto stands for, cryptography, which is encryption. So encrypted currency. Why would you want a currency to be encrypted? Well, explaining how before we had bank accounts and all of these things, you need it so that a person cannot come in and create multiple versions of that particular thing, or try and hack into it. Because if a person can hack into a payment system, they can just do whatever they want. They can change information, right, with regards to certain payments. So cryptocurrency stands for encrypted currency, and what it allows for us to do is it allows for us to have a native payment platform on the internet, one that is the same across the board. Right now, for every country, it has its own currency, right? In the US, it's dollars. In the UK, it's pounds, right? There's euros. In Ghana, there's a cedi, right? In Japan, there's the yuan. So it's like we have so many different yuan or yen, and we have so many different currencies. What if we had one currency that everyone on the internet, right, could use? And that's the idea. And that's when, this concept of Bitcoin, the first, kind of major cryptocurrency, was created. And we're all working hard to see this become a reality, where we have one, or well, not only one, but at least that one stood as the baseline upon which so many other innovations, so many other cryptocurrencies and crypto assets have been built.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And just to, as you said, just tie all that together and make that, understanding how all those different pieces work together, I think is, thank you for that explanation. And it's so interesting because the space is so expansive, and there is, as you said, we're all working hard. There is so much that's happening even now and being created in this season. So what, for you personally, what is the most exciting thing for you about Web3 and about this whole space with all of the different elements to it?
Yeah, the most exciting thing for me is this concept of generational wealth, right? What do I mean by this? If you look at, and I'm speaking from the standpoint of the United States, if you look at the data, it's quite disheartening. Wealth inequality is real, and there is no clear way as to how to fix it, right? And often people in underrepresented groups and communities, we come in very late. We don't have exposure to assets that, grow exponentially in value, and we're often left out. So for me, the exciting thing is, wow, we are early. Think of NFTs, the tokenization of assets, non-fungible token, assigning a token, a unique token to anything, digital, even physical. And all of a sudden, you can have anyone of any race, any gender, any religious standing, own assets, right? And crypto currently is, about a $1 trillion market cap or market value. The entire, let's say, assets across the world is anywhere between 400 to 500 trillion, maybe more, but let's assume it's 400 trillion. So this includes, equities, which is stocks, bonds, real estates, gold, even money itself, and even, let's say, possibly credit, right? 400 trillion. The question that I ask myself is, what percentage of that 400 trillion can be allocated to crypto assets or cryptocurrencies, right? And in my humble opinion, I would say maybe 5%, just a very small number. 5% is, imagine if it was more. Imagine if it was 20 or 25, but let's be humble. Let's say 5%, a 5% allocation. What that means is 5% of money is going to move from stocks. 5% of money is going to move from cash and credit. 5% of money is going to move from real estate. 5% will move from gold. 5% of the money that's floating around in the world will move into crypto assets. Well, 5% of 400 trillion is 10%, is $20 trillion. 20 trillion.
Wow.
Right now we are at 1 trillion. That is a 20x growth from here. For those listening, if you don't understand what that means, point to me or show me any asset that you can think of right now that has the potential to give you a 20x return on whatever you put in. What does a 20x return mean? Someone who, let's say, has $1,000 and buys into, let's say, the crypto ecosystem. I don't want to mention any particular crypto asset. Someone who has $1,000 puts it in. That $1,000, if it grows at 20x, the 1,000 goes from 1,000 to 200,000. Life changing.
Yeah.
10,000 goes from 10,000 to 2 million. That's a 20x increase. Once again, what other asset gives us this opportunity? So the term generational wealth or wealth inequality or the disparities in wealth that we see, not only in the US, I'm sure it's across the world, but I don't want to speak for other countries because I have to speak to what I see right in front of me. I see it as an incredible opportunity, an exciting opportunity. That's what gets me going. That is why I even, created the Royals NFT, because I was like, if people in our community don't see an asset that they can relate to and want to become a part of this Web3 ecosystem, they are going to be left out. How can I get them to create something that they can resonate with, they can see, they can appreciate, they can understand the value? Oh, I buy this and I can just show up in Ghana, be treated as royalty, have these experiences over, a week leading up to a royal gala. And for the entirety of my life, I am royalty because there's a token that verifiably proves I am royal. So it is an incredible technology. And when the person owns, that, digital item, what they don't realize is they had to get Ethereum to buy it. So indirectly, they own crypto.
Yes.
Right. It encourages me, it inspires me to know that we are early, right? And that over the next decade or two, right now, we look at the space, it's not that diverse, but we're hearing companies like Apple setting standards of what app developers can do with NFTs in their apps. It is only a matter of time before, with an Apple device, you can literally buy your NFT with an Apple wallet. All it takes is your face scan and a tap, and a person has purchased the NFT. We are so early that right now the process to get an NFT is a little bit complicated. That's the price you pay for being early, right?
Yes.
That's the price you pay for being early. But we're headed towards a time where it's going to be so simple. There's going to be millions and millions of people. People will be scrambling. Oh my gosh, I want a spiritual beings NFT because there's millions of people who are in this space that I share all of that even to encourage myself.
Yes.
And to inspire myself to continue the good work. And I'm glad to be on that journey with you all, right? Because we are working side by side.
Absolutely.
To be able to to onboard more individuals, to bring more representation, more ideas to this Web3 ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I share your excitement and love that we are building and trying to include more people in, people of lots of different belief systems and experiences and cultures. And I think that is just making the space even greater than what it is now. So I always like to think of it as the old dial-up internet. It was a bit clunky, but it did the job. But now, look what we have. So I kind of like to think we're kind of in the dial-up internet phase. Now, there'll be many, many people who have no idea what we're talking about with dial-up internet. It's showing my age, but a reality. So, Dr. Hans, I'd love you to also just briefly go through, that's all the amazing things about Web3. What do people who are new to this space, what should they be careful of? Because there are obviously, not everything is always great. There are always, to anything, there's always aspects that we need care. So what would be some of those things that you would advise people on?
Yeah. This term just came to mind. With great power comes responsibility, right? This is a technology that is incredibly powerful. The reason it's powerful is because it is giving you power over your assets, right? I was at a dinner last night with a professor from, my alma mater, and we were talking, and, he was an older gentleman, and he's like, I prefer gold over Bitcoin. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, how do you transact or transport that gold? How do you move that gold at a fast rate? Send it from here to Ghana in a split second. He's like, You have a point. Because he was trying to explain how he thinks gold will be more valuable than Bitcoin. And I was like, just based on the fact that Bitcoin can move way faster than gold, Bitcoin is worth more than gold because it's an improvement upon the technology of gold. And he was like, you have a point. Another thing that I want to stress in that discussion was I also shared that, do you realize that if you had so much gold kept in your home, the more gold you have, the greater the risk or the threat is to your life and your livelihood, because it's kept in your house, right? Bitcoin, no matter the quantity of Bitcoin that you have, all you need to do is memorize 12 words. Memorize 12 words. That's it.
Yeah.
That is great power. So when I say with great power comes responsibility, like the ability to have, whether it's a small, middle-sized, or large quantity of wealth, be kept in your mind, and no one can access that from you. No one can force you to do, like, they can't get it. That is great power. So with great power comes responsibility. What is that responsibility? In this crypto ecosystem, the term is custody. Custody means to have ownership, like to have power over your assets, to hold on to it, right? To custody, to hold it and protect it. You have to understand the process of safekeeping or safeguarding your asset, the right way to custody it. That's the thing that I want many newcomers or people who are new to this ecosystem to take their time to learn and understand. It could be something as simple as your like the 12-digit, the seed phrase, right? You don't share it, right?
Yes.
You're browsing online, you click a random link, it pops up, oh, enter your seed phrase to unlock XYZ. No one asks for your seed phrase. The only time you share that seed phrase, and whenever you share it, it is you understanding that whoever you're typing those words to, you are giving them your power, literally. When individuals understand that with this new technology comes power, and you're handing you're online and you're like, oh, I clicked this link and they're asking for my in quote power, you just share it. Okay. Same with custodying NFTs. It also comes with this seed phrase, right? So individuals should be mindful of this. Also, there are so many scams. They can ask you, connect your wallet to this website, connect your wallet to another website. So a simple rule of thumb that I had, God being good, I never got my wallet scammed or drained, none of them, because I was just very hesitant to click any random link. If something is not really worth it, I'm not going to click it. And if something is worth it, I will triple check. So a website is posted in Discord. Oh, I'm going to go to Twitter to make sure the company, the project, or the page that's sharing this info in Discord, I can take an additional 5 seconds to go to Twitter to check and make sure that URL is exactly the same. And if I can find it somewhere else, like a third place, I will try and look also. But at least I want to verify it that it's the same in 2 different places, right? So being mindful of where and what you connect your wallet to. The safest thing you can do, and this might be a little bit complicated, is there's something called cold wallet and hot wallet. The simple definition is a cold wallet is not connected to the internet. A hot wallet always is. So your very valuable crypto assets, cryptocurrencies, store them in a cold wallet. The ones that if you were to lose, you would be so upset. You won't be able to sleep at night, or you'll be very, very, upset. Store them in a cold wallet, right? The ones that, hey, if I was to lose, maybe I'll be upset, but it's not going to be devastating to me. You can have it in a hot wallet. And this process, you can even do this process with two hot wallets. And for those listening, a hot wallet would be like a MetaMask or like a Coinbase wallet. Those are, hot wallets because they are connected to the internet. Whereas a cold wallet would be like a ledger, right? Or
Yes.
Trezor. Okay, so just explaining for those listening. So having your most valuable NFTs or crypto assets stored in a cold wallet is the best way. But you can take this approach and also even have two hot wallets. One to store your most valuable NFTs, and that wallet, you don't connect it to any random, you just don't connect it to websites because you're using it as the main thing to store it, right?
Yeah.
The only way a person is hacked is if, and I'm simplifying here, is if they give away their seed phrase or they connect their wallet to a harmful website. These are the two main ways that you get hacked. So if you were even to have two hot wallets and you have your most valuable NFTs in one, and you never connect that wallet to any random website, you're not, or you don't give your seed phrase away, you're not going to lose the NFT or those assets. It's going to be there, right? So all I'm saying is, whenever you're connecting a wallet to a website, make sure to double check. But if you didn't want to be so careful, only connect a wallet that is maybe brand new or don't have any valuable assets in the wallet. You can connect that wallet to any website and it really doesn't matter. So I think individuals knowing and understanding their power, how to custody their assets, and how to be careful, they can go through this ecosystem without concern about losing their assets.
Amazing. Thank you for that explanation. Honestly, I could sit here for hours and talk to you and go through all this. We are at our time, but there's just one more question I wanted to just briefly cover, and that's something that's obviously very dear to my heart. And that is, I'd love to hear from you just briefly where you think the future of Web3 is headed, and how do you see spirituality fitting into that picture or that future?
Yeah, if I was to ask anyone, is the world becoming more physical or digital? Right? Everyone would say, oh, obviously, we're moving towards a digital world, right? So what do I envision for Web3? Where do I begin? First and foremost, I envision that any and everyone listening, you are wealthier than now, right? Like you're wealthier than now, right? Why? Because if you're listening to this, more than likely you are someone with a good heart, right? Because you are listening to spiritual being. You're someone who is going to add to the world. You're someone who is looking to do good. And we need people who are good, kind, generous. In my opinion, we need them to be wealthy. It's not because they just have this money just to have it, right? Money by itself, just sitting there, not being allocated to something valuable, is useless. But when you are someone who is good, great, you have more, or you have an abundance, then you're able to let your cup run over, right? And bless others. So the future that I envision, I'm not even going to make it technical. It is that this technology grows and expands. And for me, I want it to be worth 25% of assets globally. To me, it's fair. It's a digital economy. It's a digital currency. No way it's going to be 5%. At least 25. 25 is even small. Ideally, it should be 50-50. 50 physical, 50 digital, right? But let's be humble and let me say 25%. At 25%, that is a $100 trillion asset class. Right now, we are at one.
Wow.
Right? We are at 1 trillion.
Yeah.
So the future of Web3, I hope it grows. It continues to transform and change lives. that we
Yep.
listening, we're not late. We bring others into this ecosystem, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
spirituality, it's lacking. It is lacking significantly. I mean, all of the spiritual interactions, you see, God just put something on my heart, Miss Jody. And excuse me, and the reason I said Miss Jody is because I was thinking about Miss Brenda, and God put something on my heart. And what he put on my heart is because I was saying this space lacks spirituality, and God was like, well, remember that introduction that occurred as a result of this space that I made happen, right? When in a very kind of unplanned way, I met Crypto Mom, Miss Brenda, right? And she's a very spiritual person.
Yep.
So God put on my heart that you might not see, okay, a lot of spirituality in Web3, but it's coming. And he's laying the pieces, right? I know spiritual being is going to be a powerful proponent of that. I know there are other NFT projects that will come in the future.
Yep.
My hope, wish, and desire is that as even they come into the space, we don't come into this space as super competitive, because we
Yes.
all want to build, flourish, help, sustain, grow this ecosystem, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of all that I have to say. That there's a spiritual uprising
Yes.
in
I
Web3.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Dr. Hans, thank you so much for all that you've sown into our community and just everyone watching today. And just, we just honor you. We thank you for all the work that you're doing, the lives you've already changed, and all that's to come. We know the best is still ahead. And so we're excited to be in it with you and partnering with you. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. And we will see you all again soon. Bye for now.